Bam, we're live. Ooh, that didn't sound good. Bam, we're live. Fake it till you make it, Sevy. Fake it till you make it. Fake it till you make it. What's up, Kenneth? Hey, were there two shows? Did you guys see two shows scheduled? I don't know why that happened. Sousa just noticed this morning that there were two shows scheduled, so I think he's over there fixing that now. I apologize for that. I hate it when that shit happens. You guys show such great commitment to the show, and I hate it when we fuck it up like that. All we have to do is schedule it so that you guys can show up, watch YouTube, and we can fucking make coin. I apologize.
Should be good now.
Okay.
This is the only one.
What was the other one titled?
Live call-in show, probably not Rich Froning.
Oh yeah, that one should just always be pushed down.
Yeah, I just set it on private right now. I guess we just jump back and push it later.
Okay.
Because now we have Sevon's kids are the real life rocket power channel.
Oh yeah, that should definitely not be the title of this show. I changed the title of the show last night.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, in YouTube. I bet you in YouTube it's called something else.
Because I just read it off YouTube, but it looked like it was changed on StreamYard.
Well, that fucking sucks.
Deliberate termination.
Yeah. Man, I want to start this morning over again. I don't even see the show in StreamYard. Okay.
The very top. The very top.
Good morning, Kenneth. Good morning, Craig. Good morning. Let's swim. What's up, guys? I want to start this morning. Did you get my notes, Sousa?
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Good morning. Hi. Thanks for coming 5 minutes early. We started the show 5 minutes early today because I want to take my son to tennis this morning. So I want to end 5 minutes early. But I didn't want to cut the show short. Thanks for joining us. So I'm going to try to explain something to you guys. It's basically something we've talked about a million times on this show. But before I start, you should know I am 100% pro-choice. I think most of you, or at least half of you, are not.
50% is a good estimate.
which is interesting. First, I want to talk to you about thinking and how people think. There's this belief amongst cardiologists who people really, really respect, and amongst doctors all around the world, that when you have blockage or you have some sort of issues in your arteries, that it comes from the inside, that the problem comes from the inside. And it's been treated like that forever, right? So imagine this tube, a PVC pipe, and that's your artery. And they're always trying to fix what's going on the inside if you have cloggage with stents, medications. They blame cholesterol, all this shit. And that's how they think. That's how doctors think. If you go down to the bottom of my notes, Sousa, I added it last minute this morning. There's something called vasovasorum. So they think like that, and they deal with the problem like that. And so usually the way you guys hear me talk about it is that they call homeless people, and then they try to treat homeless people and then they make the problem worse and create more homeless people because they're just drug addicts. So when you treat drug addicts like homeless people, what you do is you give more security to drug addicts, so they do more drugs and more people do drugs, and you exacerbate the problem. It's just not thinking clearly. And most of that lack of thinking clearly comes from just emotional retardation, just not being very advanced emotionally, being an idiot, an emotional idiot.
Is there a number on this one?
To put it bluntly, no. It's the very last one. It's just called vasovasorum. There's no number. It's right below 247.
I don't have that.
Okay, you could just Google. You could just Google vaso. Maybe I sent it before the email to you before I wrote it. VASO, new word VASORUM. Google will fix it for you. I spelled it wrong like 5 times.
Yep.
Okay. So what they ended up realizing, and basically that's science, right? So that's science. They tell you that the arterial wall is being damaged from the inside, and they start trying to work on it because that is the current belief that gives you the greatest predictive value of the collapse of the arterial wall and how to fix it. So that's science. Until someone comes along, but nothing is true. You have to understand that nothing is true. We're just going with things that give us the greatest predictive value. That's what science is. No one who understands what the definition of science is believes that it's true, which is like a very small percentage of people, by the way. But maybe you guys are starting to get it too, as I'm starting to get it. So if you click on this vasovasorum, if you could look at images and make it a little bit bigger, the vasovasorum are these little tiny blood vessels that feed the arterial wall from the outside. You see those green things? They're attached to the outside of the arterial wall, and they're really, really small. And cells that travel down them can only travel down one at a time. So for a cell to go down there, it has to have cell motility, means it has to be squishy and malleable. And it goes down that cell wall that you see is that vein or whatever that thing is called, the vasovasorum, and it goes down there and it gets to the arterial wall and it feeds the arterial wall. And that's how your arteries stay healthy. If you eat too much sugar, like if you eat sugar, period, like BioLane, Steffi Cohen, all those people tell you it's okay, have a little bit of sugar. It's okay, it's just a macronutrient. If you eat sugar, your cells will lose motility. They won't be squishy and move around good. And they won't be able to get down these green vasovasorum to feed the arterial wall. They'll become rigid on the outside, almost caramelized. And when they don't feed the outside of the arterial wall dies. And where does that happen? From the outside. Where do cardiologists think it happens from? From the inside. Because they're not caught up on the science. And then they start treating it from the inside when the damage is happening from the outside. And how do you stop the damage? You stop eating sugar. You don't want those fucking vasovasorum to fucking get jacked up and the cells not to be able to travel down them one at a time, march down there like an army and feed your arterial wall. And so if you're thinking about it wrong, go ahead, Matt. Yes, no?
What's that?
Oh, I thought you were going to say something.
No.
If you're thinking about it wrong, you won't be able to treat the problem correctly. And you will exacerbate the problem. Often. So you have to be open on how to think. You have to not let emotion come in and clog you. There's other just really quick examples too. Don't be in denial that your iPhone is made with, be open to the fact that your iPhone is made with labor from children and people who kill themselves. Don't lie to yourself. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. Stop calling it an abortion. It's terminating. Can you look up the definition of abortion? It's terminating a fetus. It's terminating a pregnancy. Left and right are both equally guilty of it. You can't think correctly if you use the wrong words. Interchanging gender and sex. You'll never get to the bottom of that if you keep using the words wrong. We think with words. Someone wrote in the comments, Sevan, why are you so literal? I mean, like, why do I like to pick my kids up at 9:30 from soccer instead of 10:30? I don't know. So they don't have to wait around an hour and you don't sneak around the back and grab them, you asshole.
A little better than being vague in that situation.
My God.
I'll be there around 10.
And you notice, by the way, that's ad hominem. He's attacking me instead of staying focused on the subject.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if they would say, hey, if you were, I suspect that if you gave yourself a little more wiggle room in the understanding of things, when people give themselves a little more wiggle room in the understanding of things, they have less stress and they live longer. Okay, that's fair argument. They show up an hour late everywhere, but they're super chill and they live 5 years longer, according to the study. Oh, cool. All right. Thank you for that.
Maybe the study was vague. It was about 5 years longer, maybe.
It's just crazy. All of this stuff that's being brought up around the abortion thing, no one on the left is being honest. No one. And only like 5% of the people on the right.
Yeah. It's all pushing agenda.
Hey, I can't help it. I have a calculator here that's my brain and I just punch it in and I try not to get stuck in presuppositions or cognitive dissonance. It is nuts to keep calling this thing abortion, because on the other side, they keep calling it taking away women's rights, which it is. And that's the stuff that people on the right have to accept. No one wants to accept the truth a little bit because they feel like it backslides for them.
Mm-hmm.
They feel like if I admit to the fact that it's taking away women's rights, I can't then be pro-life. No, you can. You can just me not driving on the sidewalks in my neighborhood is taking away my rights too. How come none? How come so few of you can think? How come so few of you are honest?
Yeah. And I laugh when you say it
It's
that way.
terminating. I was Go ahead, Susan. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just gonna say I laugh when you say it that way because when you bring it into context like that, it's the same thing, but it sounds so ridiculous. But
Yeah.
when you take the same logic that's happening here with these
Yeah.
conversations of abortion and you apply it to other things, you're like, well, that seems ridiculous. Who would argue that, or we would get nowhere if that's the way we talked and defined things. But yet here we are on some of the most important issues that we're facing today.
Yeah. How nice would it be if you could just go under your car right now in your driveway, pop your drain plug, and let the oil pour out into the street, plug the drain back up, put new oil in, and drive away? Dope. You don't have to worry about nothing. Sorry, those rights have been taken from you. You can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
There's things that you can't kill people. Don't act like the right's like out of their fucking mind because they don't want to kill people. Stop doing that. You're not going to lose ground. You have plenty of honesty and strong stuff to stand on. It is taking away rights of a woman.
Mm-hmm.
I thought about this. I'm going to get to this too. I'm going to explain to you guys in the best way I can about the 14th and 10th Amendment. Those are the two amendments, and I'm going to explain to you guys what the Constitution is here in just a minute. You don't want to do anything to take away rights from women. You really don't. You don't want to do anything to take away rights from men either. Basically, the way our Constitution works, first of all, abortion is not illegal in the United States. Not even close. Not even close. Not even close. In 1973, the Supreme Court made it a federal law that legalized abortion. They overstepped their bounds. It's pretty clear. It's pretty clear that they overstepped their bounds, that it should have been left up to the state. When the federal government oversteps its bounds, which the left always wants them to do, regularly wants them to do, it fucks everything up. It makes a mockery of our democracy. It takes away our freedoms. It takes away the ability for the entire mechanism of this country to work. We don't want that to be something that that we're deciding at the federal level. Our forefathers saw that. Forefathers? Our fathers. The founding fathers.
Founding fathers.
So in the 10th Amendment, it basically says, can we pull that up?
Mm-hmm.
That the federal government won't interfere with state law. And it won't go beyond its boundaries of what the Constitution says they can do. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. Nowhere in the Constitution does it say that it's okay to terminate pregnancies. But that Supreme Court in 1973 used something in the 14th Amendment to make it okay, to make it a federal law. And it was a stretch. It had something to do with privacy. Go ahead and look into it. I needed another hour to give you that. But it was a stretch. It was a complete and total stretch. It was nuts. And then this court heard it again and was like, hey, this isn't the place for the federal government. And they did the right thing. Logically, it's the right thing to do. Federal government should not be getting involved in the termination of pregnancies. Now, everywhere I go in the media and I listen to the left is saying that women are going to die from this because there's going to be things called like ectopic pregnancies. I think that's when the egg and the sperm get it on and then it gets attached. The egg attaches in the fallopian tubes or something like that. It attaches somewhere where it's not supposed to, and the baby starts growing in the wrong spot and kills the woman. The two states that I live, South Dakota, which has a trigger law, meaning they put a law into effect that if Roe versus Wade ever gets overturned, immediately abortion would be outlawed in their state, except if the woman's life was in jeopardy. Crazy. Mm-hmm. But that's why stop lying if you're on the left. Stop lying. Stop lying. And here's the thing. I understand it's hard. You have to remember I was raised liberal, and this is just so crazy. But for the first 30 years of my life, part of your identity about being a liberal child is that it's okay to terminate fetuses, that you fully support that based on how they tell you to think, which is to protect women's rights. But no one ever says to you as a kid, hey, if you're raised liberal, you've never heard, hey, this is to protect women's rights. Unfortunately, babies get terminated. It's always just about protecting women's rights. They never tell you the truth. Never. Please raise your hand. Please call in. Can you put the phone number? If you're a fucking liberal and your parents explained it to you fairly, please tell me. I'll start a fans only page and jerk off for free. if you can find me one liberal parent that will do that. You're not told that. You're never told that it's terminating. That's the definition of abortion, terminating a fetus. If you kill a woman who's pregnant, you go down for two murder charges.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good point.
What if you could argue that she was suicidal? I mean, that's the logic behind that's the logic the left is using by defending termination of fetuses. They're fucking nuts. They're so dishonest. But I tell you, I don't think there should be a law I don't think we should put laws on women's bodies. That's not true. I do think we should put laws on women's bodies. You shouldn't be allowed to rape women. There should be that law. You shouldn't be allowed to rape women.
Definitely that law.
Yeah. And you shouldn't be allowed to hit women unless they hit you first. There should be some laws on women's bodies. But
even then, even if they hit you first, just learn some good defensive moves.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of there.
Unless you're sleeping. Wake up a sleeping person, you deserve a good backhand.
And you know what the craziest part about all this, the most, and you talk about all the time, most of the people that are outraged and rioting, I'm sure you probably saw some of it in LA, what happened last night. They're in California. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Yeah. And that's once again, very well said, man. It is not illegal to terminate a pregnancy in the United States of America.
Right.
A matter of fact, they're trying to pass laws in California that you can terminate the baby up to 7 days after it's born.
That's crazy. That's just murder at that point. Like
that is murder.
If it's outside
that
of the
is
mother,
murder.
It's doesn't the child now have its own set of rights as a human being?
Sevon, that's not true. Okay, well then let me explain it to you like this. Maybe you're right. Maybe that's not true. The law they're trying to pass is that if a baby dies in its first 7 days after it's being born, that it can't be investigated legally. You can't investigate the parents. So you interpret that for how you want.
Wow.
I played a video the other day when Hunter McIntyre was on. You saw that lady trying to pass that law where any time in the third trimester, even if the woman's dilated and having contractions, you could terminate the child. Wouldn't you want to be stopped if you were doing some batshit crazy shit? Yeah. Imagine you were terminating fetuses, terminating babies. Wouldn't you want to be stopped? Aren't you glad that there's people on the right who are like, hey, I mean, doesn't it give you some hope?
A little balance.
But it can't, because you don't know how to think, because you keep saying it's about women's rights. You refuse to look at the vasovasorum. You refuse. And I know why you refuse. Because it would change your whole identity. Because like I explained, when we're raised, the first 30 years of my life, it's hate the country. I was indoctrinated to hate the country, hate the flag. And under no circumstances were you allowed to discuss anything about abortion except for the fact that it was women's rights. You weren't allowed to even define abortion. I never heard the term terminating a pregnancy. I still don't hear it. Terminating a pregnancy.
I don't like that language. That might make
No.
people
Well,
rethink
then
something.
stop saying it's women's right. Then stop saying it's women's rights. Give me a concept for that too. Come up with another word so we can distance ourselves from that too. That's what it is. You're distancing yourself from that. Your sister is the girl who came from your mom's vagina. An abortion is terminating a pregnancy. A pregnancy is what a human woman, I guess other animals too, when she's carrying a baby. I mean, you're like, I don't know how to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is, and that's what it is, Yashi. That's what it is. Terminate sounds like execute. Abort sounds like quit. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, same thing with the
It's more word
corporations.
fuckery.
Yeah, it's soft language, so that way you're not really formulating the correct opinion about it. You're just kind of like listening to the fluff. It's like I remember when I would always use this term with my parents, and I'd say, no, I'm not broke. There's just a slight gap in capital right now, and I need you to fund the gap in capital. It's like, no, motherfucker, you just broke.
Yeah.
no gap in capital. I'm in between jobs, Sevon. I'm in between. I had a job and now I don't, and I'm not broke. I'm just in between jobs.
Will you look up how much a doctor makes per abortion? They interviewed a doctor yesterday. I saw like on CBS or NBC. I was trying to watch all the liberal news stations so I could really get a fair idea of what's going on. And this doctor was saying how it's unmitigated disaster and all of this crazy shit. And then at the end, the reporter goes, how many abortions do you do a month? How many fetuses do you terminate a month? And he said 150. And I was like, oh shit, this guy's a multimillionaire.
Hey, do you think it fucks with them?
Yeah, you mean
Like
their income? Yeah, their income is screwed. If you're a doctor and you were in the terminating fetuses.
No, I meant mentally. Like when they're just by themselves and they're just kind of just processing what they do for a job, and they're like,
that's the other thing too. They act like they care about women. No one who cares about women is in a healthy environment. People are speaking more. If people who really cared about women would speak more honestly about terminating fetuses, that cannot be something that sits easily with the woman for the rest of her life. The wall she has to build up around that action, brutal. It's a company. I mean, I don't know this obviously, but I would guess that the second you terminate a fetus as a woman, you have you've given yourself some psychological pathology. You're fucked. There's something's been damaged. The same way if like you fell down and or you lost a toe, like there's some permanent ding on you. And you're like, no, Sevon, I'm totally fine. But I bet you if we were to look into your brain, crack it open, there'd be a little dark corner over there with a brick wall around it.
Do you think
where you haven't come to terms with terminating the fetus?
And I wonder if you make that decision when you're much younger, like when you do have your first child, like is that experience now completely tainted by what happened before? Like, do you not get to fully be present and enjoy it in the way you would?
Because you terminated the first baby? Who knows? But you bring up a really good point. It's funny. This is all. There's this another thing from the left that's like, hey, this disproportionately affects Black and brown people. And I'm thinking, wow, the presupposition there is that terminating a fetus is always the better way to go because it was their decision. And I'm like, holy shit, these people are fucking nuts. You're saying it disproportionately affects them in a negative way, that they're not going to have the baby. That's another thing. Please show me the parents who wish they didn't have their kids. I bet you it's less than 1%. I've never met one. I've never heard anyone say, hey, I wish I didn't have those kids. Never. I have heard a shitload of parents say, I'm so glad I didn't abort my baby. A shitload. I'm glad I didn't kill my child. Jesus. I mean, that's what it is.
No, I know.
Well, then, Sevon, how can you be okay? How can you not how can you not be against it? Because I just don't feel like putting laws on women's bodies like that, stopping them from doing what I don't believe in stopping someone what they want to do with their body. I just can't. Sorry, maybe I'll change someday. Maybe someday I'll realize that fetuses are nothing and just kill them all. Shit, who knows? But right now, the way I think, I just can't. I cannot.
And I think too, a couple episodes back, you actually gave because you hear all these different opinions, but I think the best advice that I've actually heard was from you when somebody said, "Well, Stefan, what if you had a daughter and she was going through this? What would you do?" And you said the only thing we can do, I'd make sure that she had plenty of space. We'd make sure that we were present with her. We would discuss and process every issue and where it could go. And then ultimately, at the end of the day, if you've done your job and you've given them that space and they've deeply thought through what they're going to do, you would support the ultimate decision.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's really shit. That's the best advice ever. Don't push, don't persuade. Just be open. Let them be present.
And part of that comes because of the villainization of it from the right. You're from the right and you're condemning these people and you're not giving them the space to think clearly about it. I get it. I'm not by no means am I defending the right. Roe versus Wade, it happened in 1973. It was a 7-2 decision. Christine Noem of South Dakota, as I told you, they had a trigger law in place, meaning the second that the federal government didn't make it a law that abortion, that terminating babies was legal, it became immediately illegal in South Dakota unless the mother's life was in danger. There's another state too. Oh, let me say one more thing about South Dakota. In South Dakota, if a woman were to go out and get an abortion illegally, she is not punished. The doctor is punished. Since 1970, when that passed, 40 million babies have been terminated. 1 out of every 3 black children who would have been born with melanated skin, black skin, is terminated. The left is trying to tell you that that's good for melanated people. Because they make the presupposition that baby would ruin your life or be bad for your life or be bad for society. It's nuts. It's nuts. I know that they're not thinking clearly. They don't know exactly that's what they're doing because they're not deep thinkers. Most people aren't. That's not an attack at people on the left. West Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, the Republican who was elected there, said they will allow pregnancy termination up to 15 weeks. This all goes against the narrative of these people on the left who are saying, oh, women are going to die because of ectopic pregnancies, blah, 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 blah. Well, it doesn't sound like it. The 2 cases that screamed out at me from watching CNN last night and CNBC and whatever, doesn't seem like that at all. I think Texas already had a 6-week law in place. You couldn't terminate a baby after being pregnant for 6 weeks. 50 years later, it goes to court. By the way, there'll be some funny shit in this episode. Man, Instagram is full of some wild shit right now around this. Some nutty shit.
Yeah.
Some shit that's going to make us uncomfortable as fuck. This was passed 50 years ago. And now the new court who's in place has heard the case again for some reason. And they've said, that wasn't their decision to hear it. They don't have that control. By the way, it was that same mechanism that abolished slavery. The Supreme Court heard a case, and they're like, this isn't the federal government can't enforce slavery. And when you're a kid, it's funny. When you're a knucklehead, you think it's because it matters between what's right and wrong. But no, there's a constitution in its place. And it can be just read and understood. It can just be read and understood. I was tripping the other day on Biden, and then Dale said, "Hey, if that was your dad, would you let him go up there and speak like that?" And then I started actually thinking, if any of you guys see me behave like Joe Biden, please contact Matt Souza and my wife right away and have them take me to the hospital. I'm serious. Those are stroke victim signs that he's having. And
literally.
Yeah. You can't, if you see some
GJ Pang in the.
Yeah. You gotta go. You gotta go.
And then you turn and shake someone's hand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, this is this no ovaries, no opinion. This is just more. This is just anger and more nonsense. This is I get it. Facing the fact you're terminating pregnancies is hard. I get it. You have chosen a bizarre side. I mean, so have I. It's the bizarre side to be on. You don't want to be on that side. You don't want to be on. So you have to just be like, you have to bring up all sorts of crazy shit and lie. You have to lie.
And the crazy thing is that like none of this is actually helping the people. And I think one of the things, whether it's this issue or other issues, a lot of people should realize that it's just the politicians pushing for you to go to their side. It's not actually trying to help you. They're not trying to actually. It's party over country. It's party over people always. And until people start to realize that, and we start demanding the language and the use that Savon's talking about, we're not conflating issues or packaging issues in certain terminology that doesn't allow you to argue against it, right? Like we've seen it with women's rights or the Black Lives Matter movement. So there's this packaged in a language that if you're opposing it, then you have to be a bad person or you're against this particular issue, which we've all deemed as good. And then therefore it doesn't allow you to actually sit down and talk about and process the issue. You just choose a side, you pick your label. And then
most families can't even talk about it, like in their family.
Yeah, which is crazy. And I mean, so many people are emotionally charged by it, and you're never going to make a good decision when you're that emotionally charged. Like, think about all the stupid decisions I made. They've always been emotional, whether you're angry, whether you're upset, whether you're ultra happy, it doesn't matter. Like,
you're engaged. You're engaged. You're getting married soon.
Somebody got caught up in that decision, that emotional decision. But yeah,
here's the hard part too. If you want to have a discussion with someone and start drilling down, you have to start defining words. And then there's that whole cadre of people, like that man said, "Hey, are you ever so literal?" And it's like, "Are you always so literal?" And it's like, wow.
Hey, we've seen definitions change a whole entire industry. CrossFit. You put a couple definitions to what you're actually doing, and boom.
I bet you less than 5%. I bet you less than 5% of CrossFitters know that.
It's my personal mission.
I bet you they don't know Greg Glassman defined fitness using scientific rigor, and that's what changed the industry. I bet you they have no idea. It's like they just see the hands on the clock. They don't see the gears at all.
That's sad because that was the whole entire that was the mechanism that changed everything.
I mean, it took me a while to figure it out. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a while to understand what happened there. I say we just start going through some of these. It is wild. I don't know if you guys saw this week, 2 pro athletes died, NBA player, NFL player. The NFL player, they said, died of natural causes. He was 25 years old. That's a fascinating story. How do you, I didn't even know you could die of natural causes at 25. Oh, it's number 208. Let's just go there really quick. Since we're just talking about terminating people. Hey, it's okay to ask. Restaurants in San Francisco were asking you if you're vaccinated so you could go inside and sit down. Anytime someone dies, it's perfectly okay to ask if they were vaccinated or not. The precedent's already been set. To eat at McDonald's in San Francisco, you needed to be vaccinated. To get a fucking coffee at Starbucks in LA, you need to be vaccinated. So it's okay to ask if this guy dies if he's vaccinated. Yeah.
Or is it?
Yeah, this is I'm sorry, I put the wrong link. It's okay, it's not important. But the NFL player, the article was he died of natural causes. This one just doesn't say anything. So sad. So sad. Oh,
crazy.
Yeah. Get ready, people. This thing could get really squirrely. Okay. Oh, what number is that? Is that 205?
No, that was 208, I think.
Oh, okay, check out number 205. Maybe 205 is it. Have you been seeing Instagram fill up with just dark? Oh yeah, this is nuts. Sudden death increased by 420% amongst soccer players, FIFA soccer players in the EU in 2021.
What the fuck?
I know. How? What?
What the fuck?
I know. I'm just like, come on, man. Data complied by the International Olympic Committee shows 1,101 sudden deaths, an average age of under 35 between 1966 and 2004, average annual rate of 29 across all sports. But that was from 66 to 2004, 1,100 deaths, people under the age of 35. Now, March of 2021 to March of 2022, 769 athletes have suffered cardiac arrest, collapse, and or have died in the field worldwide. That is comparing apples and oranges, though. But still, scary numbers. But
Yeah.
that's horribly written. Dr. Cat, that I don't. I'm not a fan of that. That was weak.
Is that a tweet too? It might have just been hard to get in then.
Yeah. Historically, about 5 soccer players died while playing the game each year. Wow.
But what about athlete safety and
I had
professional sport?
I had no idea soccer was such a dangerous sport.
Yeah, I wonder like how. 21 FIFA players died from sudden death between January and November of 2021.
I'm going to tell you another thing I heard. There were these boys at the skate park the other day, and you could pull this down. Thanks. There were these boys at the skate park the other day. It was the oldest skate park, one of the oldest skate parks in the country. It's in Santa Cruz, California. It's called Derby. And I was there with my boys, and there were these 6, strapping, handsome young men, probably 16 to 20 years old, and they were skating. There were like 6 of them. And then I was there with my 3 boys. And I heard one of the boys tell the other boy, "Oh my God, I'm so lucky." He goes, "I went and bought an 1/8 today, but there's like an 1/8 in the bag." And I was like, yeah, that would have been me too at 25 years old if I went to buy an 1/8 of weed for $60. An 1/8 is an 1/8 of an ounce, 1/8 of an ounce. The vernacular, what we say in the streets, is that's an 1/8. I'm buying an 1/8. And if you got more than an 1/8, then you would be lucky. But the truth is, well, I don't know if it's the truth. My perspective now is, the vasovasorum perspective is, he got unlucky. He got more weed. If he was lucky, nice Paper Street mug. If he was lucky, he would have said to his friends, "Dude, I'm so lucky." Why? "Today I quit smoking weed."
The dude ripped me off.
That would be lucky. It's just all perspective. That would be lucky. "Hey, I met this girl. She's going to fuck me 3 times a day as long as I never smoke weed, and she got magic pussy." Wow. Wow. And don't anyone say, "Oh, that was crass" or anything, because if you had magic pussy, then like you're like, "Yeah, I know, yep,
Then you know.
yeah, then you know. It's a real thing." Okay. We have our first 207. First, it's kind of funny that this is coming from the right. These jackasses play the same game as the left. First American Mexican congresswoman elected. Ironically, she is a Republican, but here we go again. Like, you go ahead and play this. It's pretty hilarious that it's Nancy Pelosi.
Elect voice, and the members of the Texas delegation present themselves in the well. All members will rise, and the representative-elect will please raise.
Do you have audio? I don't have audio.
Oh yeah, I have audio. It's good.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, that happens when I play it too.
Raise her right hand. Do you solemnly swear that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that you will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, that you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office on which you are about to enter? So help you God. Congratulations, you are now a member of the 107th.
Hey, so you'd think this would be pretty big, right? First woman Mexican in Congress. I bet you. I bet you no one on the left even knows this happened. I could give 2 rats ass that she's the first Mexican and woman. By the way, I'm just happy it's someone who, yeah, I like what she stands for. Mayra Flores. I'm trying to get her on the show. I mean, I cared that she's Mexican in regards to maybe her skin pigment and the importance of where she lives on the rotational axis of the earth to protect her from skin cancers. But anyway, congratulations for getting elected, girl. Good job. 207 gone. I don't want to talk about where caffeine comes from. Man, that's a kind of a scary story.
Oh, great. Well, I'm drinking a nice tall
no, it's fine.
coffee.
It's fine from a cup of coffee. I'm talking about where caffeine comes from that's in energy drinks like Red Bull and Bang. Oh,
I saw that. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh,
That's
someone texted me and said it's not necessarily true what I posted. It's close.
Yeah. Even if it's close, it's too close.
I know it's too close. It's
the,
too
the only
close. I
acceptable
know.
answer is, hey, that's wildly wrong,
Yeah.
and that was just
It's not
made
pee
up.
from little boys. It's pee from cows. Oh, thank you. I feel much better.
Oh, that's good.
I want to show you this. I got it. We got to get this guy in the show. We play 215. This, I must have watched this video. Don't worry, guys. We're just cooling down the abortion thing. We'll be back. To talk more about terminating fetuses. 215. This guy's a CrossFitter, Nathan Florence. He's a surfer. I don't even know what I'm looking at. The music's good on this too. Whoever edited this is so good. I love this. Oh, can you pause that? So I said to him, what am I looking at? He said, basically, these are 40-foot waves with no back. So on the back side, it's flat. It just goes to the horizon flat. It's not like the waves coming up. It's the waves going under. It's sucking in water from the bottom. So that it's crazy. So if you were in a boat out there and you came off over the edge of the top, you could just ride your boat right off the top up there. You know what I mean? Like, so here's the ocean, right? And then let's say the horizon's over here. The water's just dropping, and that's causing the wave to appear. It's not that the wave is building up big like we see on the beaches of Santa Cruz. It's terrifying. Man, I got to get this guy on. Go ahead. It's so good.
That's trippy.
Oh my goodness. Look at all those guys. Will you go to his Instagram real quick? There's so much nutty shit on there. If you don't surf like me and you go to this guy's Instagram, all of a sudden
It looks so cool when they do that.
Oh,
I get so jealous.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Next lifetime, I'll take up surfing. What number was that?
215.
Oh, thank you. I asked someone the other day, I was in Instagram. He's always telling me it's a guy who's very, 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 very left. And I just asked him, hey, would you let Joe Biden drive your kids to school? Because he's driving this country. So he should be competent enough to pick my kids up and drive them to school. He didn't like that. He pissed him off. I can drive my own kids to school. I know. Me too.
I know. This is a hypothetical question based upon the cognitive.
It's weird. I want to give him a pass. I don't want to pick on him. But as soon as you start putting in, dude, shut up, Sevon. That's the left in me. That's like the pussy left in me. Oh, he's just an old guy. Blah, blah. No, he's fucking running the fucking country, and he can't drive. No one would let him drive their kids to school. It's like, sorry, you lose.
It makes you really wonder,
go eat Jello.
He needs his noon Jello. I feel like, we've always thought hey, the president doesn't have a ton of power. There's always kind of this administration in the party. And then with Biden now, that's abundantly obvious, right? There's no way this guy's coming into a meeting as the alpha and being like, let's sit down and process these issues. And I want to hear from this person and I want to hear from that lady. And let's make the best decision. I literally imagine him being walked in, sat down, and him being like, Jill?
Yes.
Jill?
Yes.
Where's the camera? Which way do I point? And they go, no, Mr. President, sorry, we're just having a discussion here. Where's my water? What time does this end?
And the meetings always start when he leaves.
Right. Or before he gets there. Hey, we've made the decision. Let's bring him in now and just discuss what we decided.
I've been in those situations with incompetent leaders, and the meetings always start when they leave because shit has to get done.
Right.
Okay, number 217. It just says abortion. Hey, by the way, you know what the loophole would be before you play this? The loophole would be this. You can't terminate the fetus in a state, but you could get a hysterectomy. A hysterectomy is when you remove the uterus. So there's a baby in there and you're not allowed to terminate the baby, but it is your uterus. So logically you would think, hey, just remove the uterus and the baby would die too. You kill the baby too. You won't be able to have any more babies. But if you really, really need you really, really want to terminate a baby, just get a hysterectomy. And if you're in a state where you can't get it, or in a country or whatever. But please stop thinking that the right is nuts because they don't want to terminate fetuses. It's a healthy response. It is a healthy response. Okay. 217. And especially those of you who don't have kids. One of the strangest inconsistencies in our penal code is where abortion is legal, but if you kill a pregnant woman, you're charged with double homicide. Nuts.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts. I'm open. Call me. Unfuck me. I'll be really nice. I don't have a horse in the race. I'm just trying to understand. Okay, 218. You guys are going to like this. There's going to be some wild ones. Some of you aren't going to like this. I don't think this show's bad for the algorithm.
Nah. Sure, it'll be fine.
Okay, so listen to this. So this is fascinating. This is more idiocy from the left. Basically, they're conflating issues here. Go ahead and play. So he says these judges make lying look fun. It's the Black Robe Comedy Tour. Now go ahead. Play.
As a judge, it is an important precedent of the Supreme Court. By it, I mean Roe v. Wade.
Okay, pause it. Pause it. So he's saying that it's an important precedent, Roe versus Wade. What this guy, The Daily Show, this lying fucking bigot, is what he's saying is that's inconsistent because he's against Roe versus Wade. You could be totally against Roe versus Wade and still understand that it's an important precedent. And yet they're saying that's hypocrisy. That is not hypocrisy. That guy doesn't know the definition of the word. This is all bullshit propaganda. And if you can't see it, it's because you're in your head and you're making a little leap. You're trying to understand what they're saying instead of listening to what they're saying. If I tell you 2 + 2 is 4 and you said, hey, I can't meet you at 4 o'clock for lunch, you've made a jump. I said nothing about meeting me at 4 o'clock for lunch. Stop making the leap. This is fucking mass manipulation. Go on, please.
Settled law of the land.
Roe versus Wade is an important precedent of the Supreme Court.
Pause. It's a super duper important precedent. If you really want to catch them in a lie, why not just ask them if it came up again, how would you vote? That's what they want, but they don't have it, so they have to make these lies up. You have to make a cognitive leap inside your head. I walk up to a girl, she's walking a dog, and I said, man, that's a beautiful dog. And she says, I have a boyfriend. Get the fuck out of here.
That was
Get the fuck out of here. And yet the left is falling for this shit. This guy believes it. This Trevor Noah moron believes it. More, thank you, Sousa. Great pauses.
I have no agenda to try to overrule Casey. I have an agenda to stick to the rule of law.
Pause. Even Ruth Bader Ginsburg knew that when they used the 14th Amendment to justify Roe versus Wade and legalize abortion at the federal level, remember, abortion is not illegal in the United States. It's fully legal. You can terminate babies all over the fucking place. We've terminated 40 million of them since 1970. We'll terminate another 40 million. Don't worry, it's going to happen. But she knew that Bader Ginsburg knew, that's the left's golden child. She knew that using the 14th Amendment, you can look it up on YouTube, was not valid, that it was a stretch, that it wouldn't stick. And she knew that the 10th Amendment had more validity, that there was nowhere that the Constitution talks about abortion, so the federal government can't enforce abortion laws. And this lady, what she is saying here, the Supreme Court justice, is that I will follow the laws. I will follow the Constitution in order to make the right decision. She's not, they don't have a choice. She wasn't like, hey, bring up the abortion case. This is just horse shit. And look at this guy. Look at Lindy Savon. Whoa, that bitch got to change her name. These guys are incredible liars. Oh, look, I have a comment. Conflation of law versus making law. Thank you. Be pro-choice. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. It's so hard to go backwards. Every time you lie to yourself, you get pushed further and further in your head. And the only place there's happiness is out here. Everything in here is just ego trip. It's synthetic happiness. Okay. No freedom in there. No freedom in there.
I believe the Constitution protects the right to privacy.
You got to make the leap again.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make the leap again. Nowhere in there. And the reason why they're saying that is there's something in the 14th Amendment about protecting people's privacy, and that's why people should be allowed to get abortions, because it's terminate babies, because it's their right and it's their privacy. The logic is so idiotic, because as you extrapolate that out, if you were to really say that, you could do anything then and use, but it's my privacy. It's just, I'm done with this. It's just so bad. Thank you, Souza. It's just complete inability to think from the left, and they're just conflating issues. It's bad. 219. I believe I heard I was having trouble getting it out of my mouth because I was too much of a coward, but I heard Jordan Peterson say it. It's an old clip. He was on Joe Rogan, and he said, why is America so stupid and fat? And then he goes on to say it's because of carbohydrates. And I guess I've been pussyfooting around, but I want you to see this. I do think that eating a shitload of refined carbohydrates makes you stupid. I think it clouds your thinking, it gives you the inability to think. And you are an addict. I mean, this woman is obviously a drug addict. If nothing else, carbohydrates and flour. But listen to this. This is just go ahead. Sorry.
Seems like everyone needs it. Not just women get abortions. People with uteruses get abortions. Trans people get abortions, trans men, non-binary people of all genders get abortions. Love you.
When she smiles, her eyes close because she's so obese, whatever, and she's breathing heavy. But I have to say that I have to accept that she thinks clearly. No, I mean, this is nuts. And she thinks that non-binary and transgender. No, only people who get abortions are women. Imaginary creatures don't get abortions. It's not. I mean, they could get them in your imaginary creatures could get imaginary abortions. Just because I name something doesn't make it so. The dragon beetle in my backyard does not breathe fire. It's not a real dragon. Just because I call it one. I call a man a woman does not make him a woman. He's still a man. There's actual things that a dragon has to breathe fire, be green, name Pete, and fly. Then it's a dragon.
Right. This is another conversation that it's labeling and conflation. So that way there's no processing and discussing the issue. Because if we talk about it, then therefore we'd be labeled as transphobic or something. You know what I mean? And ultimately, too, all as we're saying is don't build policies around that. But do whatever the heck you want, as long as you're not building policies behind it that affect the schools, that affect sports, women's sports, that affect all of that, then be whatever you want to be as long as you're not hurting anybody else. It's when they try to conflate government with that and they try to build policy around it that affects everybody else that it becomes an issue. And then for whatever reason, probably to spark more and more divide, they just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. They meaning the politicians.
I don't know. I've never liked anything Rhonda Patrick puts out. I guess it's okay. She just seems like complete plagiarizer to me. I see her 15 years after CrossFit came out, she acted like she invented it. Oh, did you know that if you mix weightlifting with cardio I'm so not impressed by her, but I guess she does give a lot of good information on Instagram, but she's like a robot to me. I just am not, I feel nothing sincere from her. I don't know. What did she say, Bruce? I don't even know if I want to know.
She just, from what I see, she just reads a lot, and I haven't seen her stuff, and I don't follow it often. But it just seems like she reads a lot of like studies.
I think Bruce said she chimed in on the abortion thing.
Oh.
What about Dragonfly? No, those are not dragons either. I'm sorry. Unless they breathe fire and their name's Pete. Okay. Yeah. So where's my pen? Here we go. Okay, it's gonna get good, guys. Oh, it's gonna get good. I don't think I could do this show with Hunter.
Why?
I just think he doesn't want to do an hour and a half about terminating pregnancies. Oh, let's take a little break. Let's take a little break from terminating 220.
Yep.
220. This one's great. Racism. Let's go back to my other favorite subject, racism. This one's great. Enjoy.
To joke around, I can't even joke no more. I used to play with racism. You can't even play with racism no more. You can't even play. I used to go to the dog park and pretend I lost my dog, and I have white people help me look for him. I'm like, his name nigga. Like, nigga, call him. You don't like dogs like me? It's the nigga. Nigga, please. I used to joke around.
Can you imagine? Sitting there with my headphones on and my kids' tennis practice. And I just start laughing so loud when I hear that. Okay, those of you on the right, brace yourself. This is what I think of you, dumbasses. 221.
We're just tearing everybody up today.
Yeah. Oh, it's just, this is so good. This is so good. This guy, it just sucks when it's such good stuff comes from the left. But this is so good.
Congratulations, you successfully managed to control women's bodies that much more. Do you think Invisible Man-Made Sky Daddy will love you now? Congratulations, you successfully managed to control.
Oh my God.
I'm going to start calling God Sky Daddy. Listen, it has nothing to do with controlling women's bodies unless that's what you want, unless that's how you think. That's delusional, and but everyone has to have a little bit of delusion. He's creating the argument where he wants it to be fine. But the part about the delusional Sky Daddy, every time someone on the right references God as some sort of authority, like, you're a fucking dipshit. You do it for yourself, project it on yourself. I'm all for it. Follow your God's rules. But when you project them onto other people, you are fucking Satan and you're a delusional moron. You are basically, well, my wife's not gonna like that. You are basically what you're doing when you project. You're doing exactly what the left does with gender. You're trying to enforce, you're trying to make the world your thoughts. The world is not your thoughts. There are no non-binaries out here. None. They don't exist. You can be one, but don't make the rest of us to play your game. You can find 10 people who want to believe it. But we already even know that Newtonian gravity isn't fucking real. That we've moved on to Einstein's relative theory of gravity. And you want me to believe something as abstract as non-binary? Please. And don't ever use the word science. You don't know what it means. You don't ever use it.
Yeah, that's been a big misuse of that word over the last 2 years, huh?
You're invisible Sky Daddy. I want to go to church and just raise my hand. Pastor, where's the invisible Sky Daddy?
Gosh.
So good. Oh my goodness. Is your invisible Sky Daddy gonna love you now?
And I think too, when people sometimes they're like, and I know they said it to you, they're like, I can't tell what side of the aisle you sit on. Good. Because that's what we do. We just process issues and call it as we see it. And when people use language that conflates and confuses, that is what we talk about. And untangling that is the mission, because then people could think a little bit more clearly and make some better decisions.
Correct. Craig, I love you now. I saw your post earlier on the side that you used to be a liberal. What are you talking about? I like you more than ever. You're all confused. I like your mom too. 222. It's not a woman's right. It's a reproductive rights issue.
Oh boy.
Yeah, here we go. When am I going to hear it's not a woman's right? It's not a reproductive right. It's a right to terminate fetuses. How about that? Oh, this guy. Hey, I would be willing to bet that this guy has a meth problem or did have a meth problem. I'd be willing because I've known about 50 guys like this in my life during my homeless years, and they were all fucking meth heads, crazy meth heads. It's nuts what meth does to your testosterone levels. Okay, go ahead.
As most of you have probably heard, the Supreme Court just overturned Roe v. Wade, and there are a lot of really strong emotions happening right now. Anger, frustration, sadness, all of which are valid. However, if you are posting about this, if you are talking about this, and you are saying that this is a woman's issue or just a women's issue, you are being transphobic and exclusionary and minimizing the impact that this has on thousands, if not millions, of trans and non-binary individuals. This is not just a woman's issue. Not just women can get pregnant. Trans and non-binary people can get pregnant, and some women, cis and trans, can't get pregnant. So as we continue to
see the conflation, there's the conflation there again. He's conflating gender and sex, but now on a whole nother level. Sex is science talk, man, woman, but cisgender and all that other crazy shit, whatever he's saying, non-binary, trans, that's imagination talk. That's Dungeons and Dragons talk. Those are imaginary characters, and that's fine. We have imaginary characters. Red means stop, green means go. We have a lot of imaginary shit, but when you conflate the two, you are a retard. I don't mean that in the negative sense as name calling. I'm talking in the clinical sense. You've retarded your brain. You cannot think clearly. I work with retarded adults for 5 years. I live with them. Some of the wires get crossed up. You have the faculties as a human being to become enlightened, to be able to make distinguishes and discriminations and prejudices and all of those things that allow you to see the world more clearly. This guy is lying to himself, and now he wants to indoctrinate you with his lies. Don't let that shit get conflated. Scary. This is scary shit. Would you let this guy drive your kids to school?
I don't let that guy anywhere near my fucking kids. I don't even have kids, but it's gonna be a no from me, dog.
It's 223, former guest on the show, Tyler Fisher. This is a post from him. And this is just so low hanging fruit. I mean, you guys are probably surprised I haven't just made a whole show on this. Tyler Fisher, I'd go to my Body, My Choice protest tonight, but I'm not vaccinated, so I wouldn't be welcome there.
That's funny, isn't it?
So good.
That
whole thing is nuts too.
That's wild.
Inject your kids with drugs who have to protect them from something that they don't need protection from, and then on the other hand, they also want to abort fetuses, terminate fetuses.
Have you seen the doctor that's on YouTube? This is going to be a terrible story because I can't remember his name, but he always just compares studies. It's usually very just matter of fact, and half of it's him talking. The other
is it Dr. Berg? He might be the biggest doctor YouTube star there is. He's a chiropractor.
Yeah, and he just runs through the studies that.
There's Thomas DeLure does that too. He's pretty good.
No, it's not Thomas DeLure. I think, and I can't.
Maybe it's Dr. Berg. Dr. Berg is
better.
He's like the Sesame Street of doctors. I'm so impressed by what he's doing.
But he just recently did the
is
Dr. John Campbell. Dr. John
Campbell. I think I know who he is. That guy sits down.
Yes.
Yeah, but Dr. Berg stands up.
And he was very
look at Craig. Look at Craig. Woo!
Oh yeah, he had it. Yeah.
Okay. What about him?
Well, he just recently did a video a couple days ago about comparing natural immunity to vaccination, and it's the nail in the coffin. There's no comparison.
Speaking of the nail in the coffin, did you see Hiller's last video he made yesterday?
No, I don't think I saw that one yet.
Dude, if you guys have not seen that video, you have to see that video. It's called Athletes, Judges, and Affiliates Penalized or something. And he goes back to a case that happened in 2013 when a guy named, I'll talk about it on tomorrow's show. It's nuts. This is the video of all videos. If you were like me and you thought he was a little harsh to Hip and Steel or a little harsh to Danny Spiegel, this will unfuck you. This really unfucked me. I cannot believe what he dug out. Basically, in 2013, a guy did a workout completely fucking wrong, and it was passed by the affiliate because back then the affiliates had to check off on every workout. Yeah, thank you. And then there was a judge, and the judge had to check off, and then the athlete had to submit it. All three were penalized. The athlete was no longer to continue in the open. The affiliate was no longer allowed to validate scores for the rest of the year. And the judge was not allowed to do any more for the year also. And that's how hardcore, and that was the integrity from 2013 when Dave was running the games. Look at it, has 19,000 views already. That dude, I'm telling you. Hey, what's that mean, 584 VPH?
That's how many views per hour.
Oh, okay. So it's just kicking ass.
Yeah, 580 views per hour.
I think he has like 100 more subscribers than us now.
Yeah, he does. Son of a bitch.
I know.
Damn it.
He's gonna race to the moon.
Yeah.
Okay. We will race to the moon too. I want to show you this. This is go ahead. What were you gonna say? I
was just gonna say I just tell ourselves that we have tons of views on the Buzzsprout, Apple, and Spotify, so it's not even a comparison. He only has one platform, so
I agree.
Pat ourselves on the back.
I want to show you something here real quick. This is a little off subject. It's 2:24. You only need to play like the first 15 or 20 seconds of this. I want to show you something. What you're going to be watching here is something I call reactive parenting. It is the worst kind of parenting, but it's the worst way to live your life, but it's how most people live their life.
Boy wants to wear a pink dress, encouraging him to do that is great, right? We ought to be encouraging kids to be able to embrace the expressions that they feel best fits with their personality. But
Pause.
The idea that
no, actually, that's not true. That is not true at all. And it doesn't matter what you wouldn't encourage your kids who wore blue jeans. Why would you encourage them when they wore a pink dress? You should not react to anything like that. When your kid falls down, you shouldn't react either. You should be aware. You should be hyper aware. A reaction is your own personal ego indulgence. When your kid falls down, all your attention should be on your kid's safety. Not, don't be a pussy. None of that. It's about full assessment.
Right.
How deep is the cut? Is there a bicycle coming behind him?
Mm-hmm.
How much love and presence can I show him? How much confidence do I share with him? Does he know that I'm in control? Your kid doesn't come out with a pink dress and you're like, my goodness, that is fabulous.
Right.
He comes out in blue jeans. My goodness, that's fabulous. Now listen, if your kid does something and you want to reward him and you want to manipulate him like I do to my kids, he's playing the piano by himself and I hear it in another room and I'm on the phone with Souza and I'm having laughing my ass off with Matt, having a blast. I'll be like, Matt, hold on a second. Because my priority is to manipulate my child. So I walk out there, I'm like, dang, dude, that's good. And why do I do that? Because I want him to play more piano.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit if he wears a pink dress or blue jeans. I may say this. He's never got himself dressed before by himself, and he comes out in a pink dress. I'm like, dude, you got yourself dressed. Good job. This is a fucking batshit crazy. Shut the fuck up. You should not be Karen Dansky speaking about kids at all. The rest of what she says is great, but you have to stay deep. You have to stay deep. And if you can't, which most of the time I can't, don't do anything. Be non-reactive. Do your best to be non-reactive.
And to your point too, it takes a lot of awareness and being present. as a parent watching you up closely and Haley with the kids when we spend some time in Newport, you're also watching for that encouragement when they interact with other strangers in a positive way. They hold the door open, they go, oh, sorry, get out of the way of somebody, or they kind of realize that, hey, you guys are running around in this public space. You stop and you go over, and then, hey, great job. Hey, that was really cool. You held that lady. Hey, great job. Kind of, giving that person playing guitar $1 over there or something like that. So you're watching the interactions all the time, which, if you watch a lot of adults here, they're just trying to do the easiest thing possible, which is not let the kids kind of have their own interactions, just keeping it tight and not being as focused on rewarding the things that you want to see good behavior in society.
Yeah. I don't want to reward my child for wearing a pink dress. I don't want anything to be difficult for my child in terms of moving through society.
Mm-hmm.
But I also wouldn't say anything negative about it, because saying anything negative about it would also make things difficult for him.
Yep. Yeah. It's really good advice.
But I can always go deeper. What is this thing? This emoji? Everyone's using it now.
I don't know.
Is this like the Arab, like when my grandma would say, "Madigade, listen to me. Listen." That's
what I take it as. Yeah. You know what I dressed up as all the time as a kid?
What?
Peter Pan.
Oh, did you have the tights and the hat and the whole shebang?
My mom made me the costume for Christmas one year, so I had the whole.
She sewed it. She sewed it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I sewed it up, and I had a pair of green tights, and then I had these little brown slippers, and I carried the little dagger.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Let's see what this guy says. Shooter McGavin. Oh, I used to love Newcastle. I used to drink so much Newcastle. My son is the brown ale. My son has walked down the stairs with his sister dressed as Snow White or another princess. I just chuckle and go about my day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Kids being kids. Play with the Barbie over the G.I. Joe for a little bit. Whatever.
My kids playing with the Elsa doll. He's got 2 of them. They're hugging. He's like holding them. He's in love. And I just walk by and he's singing. But then when he's got the dress off of Elsa, 10 minutes later, I'm like, oh, you got a dress off, huh? Give him a little reward.
Give a little attaboy.
Yeah, no, not an attaboy, but close. Oh my goodness.
Jokes. I got jokes.
Okay. So anyway, that was Jordan Peterson's daughter interviewing some lady. Just if you're not sure, just don't say anything. Okay. Just be present for your kids. 225. This one's good. Oh man, we got a lot to get through in the next. Oh no, we have 10 minutes. Okay, that's good. You guys are gonna like these. It's a picture of a man wearing a mask, and it says, if you did this for 2 years, and then it shows a condom, you can do this for 48 seconds. There are options. There are options besides having unprotected sex and then terminating fetuses. Remember, the left is so angry about this because we were raised as part of our identity. From the day I was born till I was 30 years old, being raised in California, it's part of your identity, Roe v. Wade. The women are allowed to terminate babies, but they don't call it that. They say it's women's right for their body. They never present both sides of the case. The left always just says that this is women's rights. They never tell us as kids that the consequences or the terminating of the fetus or the psychological implications it would have on a young lady who's had her 8th abortion, terminating a fetus. None of that discussion is allowed. We're just indoctrinated and brainwashed. And so it's totally fair to be like, hey, just put a condom on. And the left makes the presupposition that having a baby, even though there's no evidence of this, is bad. And that's when they bring in race and socioeconomic status. And they say, oh, those people, those black and brown people and those poor people, they can't afford terminating fetuses, killing fetuses. And so their life is bad. And there's that presupposition. It's just bullshit. It's just manipulation. But that's all around a women's rights issue. Going back to the vasovasorum. Are they thinking about it right? We don't know. But we know they're not thinking of the full picture because you never hear it come out of their mouth. Never. Like I said, you want to see me start a fans only page, start sending me someone from the left talking openly and fairly about this. I'm not saying that people from the right do, but I'm saying the ones I have heard are on the right. I'd say 95% of the people on the right But that's still a 5 million% greater amount, speaking about honestly from the right than the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This one is nuts. 225.5. This one is just, there's a couple of these that I don't know how these people sleep at night saying this stuff. Oh, this one's good. Yeah, this is good. So this is a crowd I'm a total condom guy. I'm such a condom guy. I had AIDS, Kenneth. I had AIDS fear. I've used 6 million condoms. The first time I wore a condom, I put it on before I left the house one day. That's how scared I was. And I didn't even have sex for like another 10 years after that. I was probably like 9, you know.
The mask of the 80s. No.
Yeah. So this guy's speaking, what I'm guessing is in New York, to the most fucking liberal, insane crowd ever. But he schools the shit out of them, and I don't even know if they know it. At least that's the way I read into this. Okay, go ahead.
The day today, right? Did you guys see that leak of the Supreme Court decision? Horrible. I agree. It's so weird that the two sides are pro-choice and pro-life. That's not even the issue, right? The issue is when it comes down to it, do you side with the woman or the fetus, right? For me, it's the woman every time, no exceptions. And I get that for me it's a little bit selfish. I never hung out with both of them, but women are way more fun. Have you ever hung out with the fetus? It's terrible. They're all wet. They stare back at you with undeveloped eyes. They're just like, kill me. You're like, I tried. How do you think we got here? It's crazy day.
The crowd's laughing because he's saying, go ahead and terminate the fetuses. It's 226. Some people need to be killed before they're born. That's what I wrote here for this. Shit. I wonder what this one is.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay. Before, during, and after the child.
Okay, pause this. So I'm going to show you this. This is nuts. This is the craziest one I've seen. This lady here, Ana Navarro, is saying that she has people in her family who are mentally disabled, autism, Down syndrome, whatever, Williamson syndrome. And that basically she's saying that life would have been easier. You have to read into what she's saying because she's not clear. You have to read into it or just leave it alone as gibberish. But what she is saying here on CNN is that she totally understands killing retards, mentally disabled people. And if I thought that, which I don't, I would push that down. I lived with mentally disabled adults for 5 years. Not just worked there, I lived there. Made a movie about it called Our House. Okay, go ahead and play this. This is like more of just, yeah, it's so nuts that this is played on national TV. Go ahead.
I'll tell you what you need to do with your life or with your uterus. And because I have a family with a lot of special needs kids. I have a brother who's 57 and has the mental and motor skills of a 1-year-old. And I know what that means financially, emotionally, physically for a family. And I know not all families can do it. And I have a step-granddaughter who was born with Down syndrome. And you know what? It is very difficult in Florida to get services. It is not as easy as it sounds on paper. And I've got another step-grandson who is very autistic, who has autism, and it is incredible. And their mothers and people who are in that society.
Okay, pause this. So the context she's bringing this up is in the context of terminating fetuses, and she's basically, I mean, so I will acknowledge that I'm reading into it, but she's making the leap here that those fetuses should be aborted, and
wow,
yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. It's I'm uncomfortable. Evil. I tell you, I'm uncomfortable.
It gets evil. Hey, do you ever notice that when you watch like either podcasts, if you watch podcasts or these news channels, like one of the telling signs is if you watch their chest and their breathing. Have you done that before?
No. Tell
So
me so I can hide that.
Anytime, and usually it has to do with a little bit of the camera angle, but if you watch them and they start to get uncomfortable, and it looked like, I'd have to go back and watch it a couple more times to be certain, but it looked like the women that were there, like you could start to see their breathing change as she starts to go down that rabbit hole.
Oh, even they didn't like it.
No, and you could tell that it's like, oh, we're treading somewhere that we should not be. And normally you could see it, like especially if you watch podcasts or interviews with people that are like almost opposing sides, or like in a debate, you could watch them start to go to that like heavy neck breathing, like almost the fight or flight kicking in, fight or flight. And you could tell that it's an emotional charge. Something's reacting, and like even though these people are,
I'm gonna start watching.
Yeah, start watch their chest. It's a tell sign. Used to be too with like a little bit of like self-defense, because if there's a emotionally charged thing and all of a sudden you start to see somebody kind of like posture and their breathing gets a little bit, you're like, it's getting squirrely, like they might react here physically. But when you see it happening there, you could just tell they're trying to like push something down, like it's making them uncomfortable.
Will you look up the definition of abortion for me real quick? I believe in there it says it's the termination of a fetus or termination of a pregnancy. Deliberately terminate. Okay, is that what it is? Okay. The deliberate termination of a human pregnancy. Okay, so that it is that deliberate termination of a human pregnancy. Try using that today with someone when every time if you're talking to someone about abortion, instead of just replace the concept abortion with the deliberate termination of human pregnancy, and see if that thing that Sousa says happens to the person you're talking to. If they go like this, they shouldn't, but I suspect they will, and you can test out Sousa's theory.
Yeah, test it out. Watch different things, and just watch their chest like rise and fall, and watch.
There shouldn't be anything wrong. There shouldn't be anything wrong with using the whole phrase.
Not when you're trying to have a serious discussion about it and form policy around it. Shouldn't we be as clearly, like thinking as clearly as we can on the subject and knowing all parameters of it before any decisions are made, not just choosing one side?
What is E equals MC squared? It's energy equals mass squared.
Yeah, you're out of my pay grade now.
And then from there you can define what energy is, and define what mass is, and define what square is, and you can say the whole, and through that someone would understand what it is. But just E equals MC squared doesn't mean shit. You just think Einstein.
Right.
Okay. Let's look at the 10th Amendment real quick. Oh, did we already do that? Did we look at the 10th Amendment?
We looked at the 10th, but we didn't look at the 14th. If you wanted to discuss that.
No, it's okay. Okay.
Okay.
If you are interested in what the poster child for the left on the Supreme Court, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, said about Roe versus Wade, it's not that she was it's not that she didn't like the decision the court made. It was how they defended their stance wouldn't stick because it was a stretch. It was a lie. They made it a privacy issue when it's not a privacy issue. And it's worth reading about that. It's interesting. It's cool. And I think all of us should start grasping more and more that the Constitution are the laws that the federal government is supposed to enforce. And when you when we insist as citizens of this country for the federal government to enforce laws that are really the state's responsibility, what we do is we make a mess of the entire system, especially the election process. There'll be people who would make fucking great presidents that we might disagree with on big picture things, or small picture things, but it doesn't matter because they can't get involved down there at that granular level. And perfect. So then choose the state you want to live in where things do get dealt with on that granular level. And let's pick the best president who's watching the big picture things and not judge them for the small picture things. You have to let the machine work in order to work properly.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that's the understanding that I'm starting to get. 60% of abortions are done by pill. I didn't know that. And that, if that's the case, that doesn't stop anyone. If every single state made it illegal, you could still get the pill. You can get anything you want on the internet. Anything.
That's true.
Anything. So don't be confused. Once again, it's because the people on the left are attached to this as part of their identity. And maybe the right are too. I don't know. But I know that being raised and indoctrinated in the state of California, that it's part of our identity, and we're not even allowed to think about it. It is still legal to terminate fetuses in the United States. You had a federal right to get an abortion, and you no longer have a federal right. They're no longer involved in the decision making. It is now on the state level. When people tell you that the state, that's going to hurt women because women won't be able to get terminate fetuses if they have ectopic pregnancy, that's not true either. I showed you 2 examples in West Virginia with a Republican governor, and South Dakota with a gnarly fucking, probably she believes in the sky daddy Republican. And both of those allow women to get terminate fetuses if the woman's life is in danger. So stop listening to that nonsense. The left is just lying to you. At least of now, from the research I've done. Another point. I probably don't have much. We have a little time. Another point I have heard brought up. I heard brought up on Fox yesterday. A commentator on Fox said this, that it wouldn't be this way if men carried babies. Fuck off. Fuck off for bringing. Like, you can bring that up, but ironically, most of the pro-life organizations in this country are run by women. And this thing where you're going to drag sex into it and race into it, it's like, once again, you're just drawing away from the real issue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The real issue is that women's rights are being taken away over the autonomy of their body if they can't kill fetuses. That's what's going on. Don't bring in other shit. That's more emotional appeal. That's more just trying to emotional appeal, trying to cloud your thought by bringing in dumb shit. 244. You guys aren't going to like this one.
Wait, I don't have a link for 244. Is there
Oh my goodness, really?
Yeah, I have the what you just talked about, the subtitle.
Hangers have gone up in value.
Oh wait, hold on. Okay. Sorry.
That's okay. It's worth the wait. It's worth the wait.
We got it. Here we go.
We have an entire trunk full of hangers that I have been wanting to drop off at the Goodwill. But after today, I kind of think they might have gone up in value.
Jeez.
I have an entire...
Alrighty. Thank you. If you, her name is Stephanie Cheney. If anyone needs a clothes hanger. Oh,
gosh.
It's fucking brutal. 245. This one's off subject a little bit, but I thought this was interesting. This is the former president of the United States, Mr. Barack Obama. He was president for 8 years. He was our first melanated president. And here he is.
Look how young he looks here.
Statistics that children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime. They're 9 times more likely to drop out of school, 20 times more likely to end up in prison. They're more likely to have behavioral problems or run away from home or become teen parents because the father wasn't in the home. The foundations of our community and our country are weaker because of this.
And those are just a few of the negative outcomes that we can trace back to father.
Will you start that again? Play that one more time. I want you guys to hear this, what he says at the very, very beginning.
1 sec.
If you don't have a father at home, and by the way, I suspect it's the truth if you don't have a mother at home too, so you could just replace that whole thing with if you're raised by a single parent. I bet you that's more accurate. I don't know that for a fact. But and wait, one more thing. And it might not even be about having both parents. It might be the fact that when the fight that you saw when your parents separated is what caused the damage. I don't know what the exact mechanism is. But until we do, you have to understand every time someone brings up skin color as the problem, You have to remember this trumps it every time. It's a stronger correlate for everything. Obesity, cancer, jail time, how successful your podcast is. I bet you there's a correlate to penis size.
Brain size.
Okay, but we play the first just a little bit again.
That children who grow up without a father are 5 times more likely to live in poverty and commit crime.
That's
They're 9
500%.
times more likely to
900%.
drop out of school. 20 times more likely to end up in prison.
2,000%.
They're more likely to have behavioral problems or run away from home or become teen parents because the father wasn't in the home.
Or he said, or have teen parents. I'm done with them. Or have teen parents, or terminate fetuses. I bet you it's a higher rate of fetus termination amongst those who don't have both parents at home. Oh, yeah, Yashi's checking my math. 5 times is 500%. Am I missing something? Number 246. Uh-oh, this one makes me nervous. Our president's opinion when he could speak. Oh, yeah, this one's great. Here is the current president of the United States, Joe Biden. When he used to be able to talk, this is what he said about pregnancy termination. Here we go.
I do not view abortion as a choice and a right. I think it's always a tragedy, and I think that it should be rare and safe. And I think we should be focusing on how to limit the number of abortions, and there ought to be able to have a common ground and consensus as to do that. I do not view.
That was when he was still forming coherent thoughts, huh?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Caleb, I just looked at the text you sent me. I don't understand. Okay, guys. Thank you very much. I'm glad we got that off our chest. Remember to try to think clearly. Don't take the way that they're telling you to think about things as the only way to think about things. If you're not sure how to dig in and crack past it, start asking the definition of words. Start asking the definition of certain words, and that will slow the conversation down, and that will allow you to start really seeing what things are. And always feel free to ask questions. So you are okay with the termination of a fetus? And then the person might say, if you ask me that, I'd be like, no, I'm not okay with it, but I'm less okay with the fact of putting laws on a woman's body because I think that sets precedent for other cascade of fucked up shit. Let's say X equals 1. You increase by 400%. You add 4, making it 5. Now the final 5 is 5 times bigger than the original one of 1. I don't think it works that way, but if you're Indian, I take your word for it. Racist. Okay, guys, love you. And we will talk.